What's going on, guys? So, right, Scream is all in the news, so I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna talk about what I think they should do in the franchise, and maybe what they should have done in the franchise, and it's a whole thing. So everyone knows Scream. It's like a classic. Everyone's seen Scream. If you haven't seen Scream, what are you doing? I mean, there's 6 movies. The original is a classic. I mean, the original scary movie is like basically a rip off of it, but like funnier. It's like Scream is everywhere. Everyone loves Scream. I mean, even my own high school did a morning news, Good Morning Falls, where they did a imitation of Scream. Like Scream, it's famous. It's everyone knows Scream, and it stars Nev Campbell as Sydney, and for a long time, just from a personal like fan, I've always wanted Sydney to be the killer, and I thought they should have done that a couple times. Like we had the original trilogy, and it was really good, and then when they did the soft reboot with an extension of part 4, I'm like, oh, Sydney's gonna be the killer. This is gonna be great, and obviously they didn't. They had her cousin. Um, and I mean, it made sense. Like, yeah, they kind of did the rip off of, sure, Sydney's not the killer, but we made a character that is exactly Sydney, but she's the killer. So it's like if Sydney was the killer, but obviously we don't want to mess with our queen Sydney. We don't want to mess with our queen Nev Campbell. We want to make sure Sydney is always the hero, and so they made her cousin, and it was okay. I liked it. I just I wanted her to be the the killer, and she wasn't. Yada yada yada. A couple years go by, and now they're making another soft reboot plus continuation. So they started off with these two sisters, and they bring back classic characters. They bring back Sydney. They bring back Dewey. They they basically bring everyone back. Like the original trilogy, the original Trinity, they bring them all back. Yada yada yada. They have their own thing, and in six, they made the very hard decision not to bring back Nev Campbell, and they said that it was money reasonings. Nev Campbell said that she wasn't getting paid what she was owed, with her being the queen of the franchise. They weren't willing to pay her, and the people who did money stuff said she was asking for too much, and they couldn't afford to pay her, which makes sense. I mean, she's not the main character anymore. You have legacy characters and you have new characters you got to bring in. So it was a hard decision, and I think it was the wrong decision, but Sydney was not in part 6. But now it comes to the crossroad where, in recent news, one of the sisters was fired. And I'm not here to talk about if it was just, if it was right, or my beliefs, or if her beliefs were proper. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about movies. So she gets fired, and then a couple of days later, like maybe a day later, we find out Jenna Ortega, the 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 new face, the new queen. She's very popular right now. Leaves, and everyone's speculations. Technically, her contract was up. She had other obligations. Her role was already going to get cut. Now her sister's gone. They made a decision to leave the sisters. Now the rumor is they're bringing back Sydney and Nev Campbell. Of course you bring them back. What else would you do? I'm really excited to talk about bringing back Patrick Dempsey. I love Patrick Dempsey. Very excited. Those two bring him back. It's very smart. Now people say it makes no sense. They can't do that. Yada yada yada. What would they do? Personally, if I was them, I'd say, hey, 5 and 6, 5 takes place here, 6 takes place here, 7 takes place simultaneously. Um, but that's it. I mean, you can't bring anyone back. Personally, I would not go the route of like a Halloween 20 years later where they like say that 5 and 6 don't count and this is truly Scream 5. And I would really want to do the Halloween thing where they go back and say, hey, yeah, the true timeline is actually from Scream 1 to now. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't touch the timeline. But that's a lot of rumors going around and people putting their own ideas out there. So I'm just gonna put mine out there. I think you do Scream 6 with Sydney. Now you have Scream 6 in New York with the sisters. I think you do Scream 6 with Sydney. Now you can do the movies at the exact same time, parallel, just in different places, but doing it in the exact same time. You say there's 2 Ghostface here, there's 2 Ghostface here. I think it should be no problem. And depending on the timeline that you want to set, you can even put Sydney's movie, Scream 7, a little bit beforehand, Scream 6 in New York with the girls, and you can even bring Courtney Cox back. You can have them doing a brunch, you can have them having a girls' day, whatever. I'm sure there are friends that like that, they would probably, they've have a complicated past, of course, but they seem decent enough where they catch up once in a while. Especially with the loss of Dewey, I'm sure they would sit down and talk, and then we can get this whole breakdown of the franchise. Like, oh yeah, Dewey's sister, yada yada, the killers in this movie, the killer in that movie, how crazy their life is, and then there'd be like one last breakdown is like, and then Courtney Cox gets like a call saying you gotta come to New York or whatever. She's like, yeah, the sisters are in New York. Supposedly there's a new sighting of a Ghostface killer. I'm gonna go write my new book or whatever she was doing in New York to save the girls. So she leaves, she goes, saves the girls, and obviously she dies. And it would just be very sad. And that's what we can get Sydney's point of view from not only losing Dewey, but now she lost her friend. I mean, she lost her friend, and now she's stuck home. Who knows how her like? It's kind of hard to remember because they weren't really big parts. She had a husband, she had kids. What's going on that side of the family? What's going on there? Are they teenagers yet? Are they really gonna do a Halloween 20 years later where the kid's off in college? Maybe they could do that. I wouldn't be offended if they did. I think that's a very smart plan, and it's very simple, and it'd be very laid out. I just want the main character to be Sydney the way that Laurie was in Halloween 20. So yeah, they could do it that way if they don't want to go the kids direction. If they do want to do kids direction, you have teenagers, high school, new cast, friends of the friends of the children of Sydney. Like, they could do that. It's like, oh, that's your mom, man. She's so many stories about her. She was, they could do a lot of different things with it. And I'm just very pro Sydney. I'm just bring Nev Campbell back, pay her what you want, and it should be a pay problem. I mean, you lost in the last movies. You lost your sisters, who are the 2 leads, and you lost your legacy characters. You have nobody else. Take all that money you invested in these 3 or 4 actors and actresses that you wanted, and just give it to Nev Campbell. Pay her what she's owed. She has paid. She has earned what she's paid. Personally, I think you pay him. obviously I'm not a money guy. I'm a film guy, and I just want the best movie we can make. And I'm just thinking of take out the budget, what would make the best movie. I think bringing back Nev Campbell, explaining why she wasn't in New York with everyone else, explain what she's doing there, what's going on with her family, bring back Patrick Dempsey. I think you got a story here. And I think Scream 7 could be a great throwback, flashback. It could be a great continuation. It can be a reasoning of why Sydney wasn't in New York. I think if it's done right, properly, I think it'll be a great Scream movie. And I think a lot of fans will go see it. Sure, fans will be pushed off, like with the political reasons and the fact that they're losing their two new mains that brought in younger audience, and maybe it's possible that classic fans are gonna come see Nev Campbell, but then again, maybe they'll lose the new friends that they've gained. Maybe it's all good. Maybe there's a problem, but the facts are they lost the sisters, and they want to make Scream 7. So what are they gonna do? I think this is actually a really good idea, um, but it's just my idea. I'd love to hear some of your guys' ideas. I think that'd be great to talk about. This news is breaking news. This stuff just happened. There's gonna be other ways they do it. They could just drop Sydney. They could drop the sisters, and we can get a whole new group. Maybe they'll do a soft reboot. Maybe they'll do a full reboot. Maybe they'll just do Scream 1 with different, actors. Maybe they'll go in deeper and get a spin-off. Maybe they'll give us Stab. Maybe they'll just make a Stab movie. I kind of hope they don't make a Stab movie. Um, yeah, they could do a lot of stuff. This is just speculation on top of news, on top of more news, on top of breaking news. I'm just a fan guy talking about fan stuff. If you guys are fans of this, go ahead and comment. I mean, let's have a conversation. Like, I know, like, please like and subscribe too. I mean, that'd be great. And yeah, I mean, hit the like button if you're Team Sydney. Bring back Nev Campbell and Patrick Dempsey, please.